of an old above a new. They play the forest and a orange sour. They play the forest, all the fun in me is you.